Hello and welcome to Plate Stack Chat, as always supported by Strivey. Head over to strivey.app to see what they can do for your online programming needs. On the show today, we have a legend in the world of CrossFit. This year, he has completed his 14th CrossFit Open. But you know what? A lot of people have been doing the Open for many years, but they won't all have progressed to the CrossFit Games, not just once, but 11 times. And not just making it to the Games, but having top five finishes, with two of them being on the podium. Now he has his sights set on the World Fitness Project, and why not take on ATHX in Glasgow as well? He probably has the most famous initials in CrossFit. It is BKG, Björgvin Karl Guðmundsson.
Well, hello guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I think, yeah, you've probably, Snorri knows this because we've talked about this many times, but you're like my white whale of guests. From when I first started doing any kind of CrossFit stuff, I was like,
really?
I need to speak to BKG. This is it. We got to speak in person a couple of times at FitFest, like 2 years ago, and then again this year. But thank you for finally coming on the show. This is, I can retire now. I'm happy.
Well, I'm glad to hear. This is your final show, then, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Breaking news, everybody. The final show.
No, yeah, thanks for having me on. Of course, I'm all into discussing everything about CrossFit and everything outside of CrossFit as well. So whatever works.
Do you want to explain to people watching? We've got quite a few people commenting already. If anybody is curious about your eyes.
Yeah. I was just finishing up a swim session like 15 minutes ago, and I'm still like a little beat up by the goggles. But hopefully during this podcast it will slowly go away.
Yeah, they'll return to normal. Where are you swimming? Is like a pool near your house? Is it a pool in your house? Where's the
the thing is that I live in such a small town with population of like 3,000 people, and obviously everything is in like 2-minute drive away. So I'm actually at my brother's house right now because we're about to sell ours, and there are people at the house checking it out right now, and I needed to jump in to my brother's house, and he lives in the same town, and it's the street next to mine, so everything is very close here.
Older brother or younger brother?
Older. Yeah, he's 40 years old.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit older. How old are you now?
I'm 32. Yeah, I was born in 1992.
This is the thing I hate about when I started doing CrossFit is you sort of like see the athletes come up, they start retiring, and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this person's retired now. And then I realize they're younger than me and they've retired. And I'm like, that's wrong. Not that you've retired yet. Not that you've retired.
No, I mean, I deal with the same things. It's like, I came to the scene at the games in 2014 for the first time, and then at that time that was Rich's last year as an individual. And then slowly, just like 14, 15, 16, 17, a lot of legends have like dropped out of the game, like slowly. So I know exactly what you mean.
How have you like been able to stick around? I mean, 11 trips to the games it's quite an impressive feat.
Yeah, it's I mean, to be honest, like coming up and making it to the games in 2014, was definitely not like making it to the games in 2024 or 2023 or whatever it was. But I've been able to grow. I've been able to grow pretty nicely with the sport. I feel like I came into the sport on a nice time, and then I just think that I've been with the same coach for since 2012 basically, and we have been working together all that time, and like he knows me very well. I've had the same group of people around me during that whole time. I've never changed programs or anything like that, and I think that once we grow together, me and my coach, like Yami Tekkanen from the training plan, and at the same time I was training a lot with Annie, and I have been training a lot with Annie over the last 12 years, and it's just a good group of people, and we're always striving, to get better each year, trying to find, things that could have gone a little bit better last year, and we try to improve the next year after. And just like try to keep it fun, like trying to keep it interesting. Like I'm not, it's not like a Groundhog Day, even though it kind of is, but we're always moving towards new targets and trying to improve on things. And I think that's probably the reason like why I have been able to enjoy it so much over the last 12 years, is that we're constantly trying to work on new things. And that's the beauty of the sport, right? It's so many things that you need to be good at, and I can still improve on so many things. It's like it's it's a never ending story.
So I just seen them like World Fitness Project announce their like broadcast team. And I've seen that like Annie and Catherine and that are involved in that. Considering like you've been in the sport so like the sport of fitness just so long, as you said, it's changed a lot over those years, and you've always sort of not just seen it change but got to experience the change. You'll have people talk like, oh, regionals were the best, sanctionals were terrible, but maybe they only did regionals or they only did sanctionals. You've done both. So when you speak, you kind of not only have you seen it, you've seen the evolution, you've experienced it. Do you see yourself in the future moving into like the more pundit kind of role and being like, what, I know a lot about this sport, I could talk about it, I could share insights, and kind of moving across that way?
I would say yes, probably. I mean, for me to, let's say, if I retire in a couple of years or whatever it is, it will be so hard for me to just like take a 180 turn, go do something else and delete my Instagram. That's probably not gonna happen. Or at least I feel like that might be stupid of me if I would do that. But no, I definitely see, like, I feel like I wanna like help out a little bit. Like if I can help out in any way and like maybe do a little bit of this on the side, I think that'll be perfect for me. So I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, it would definitely be appealing for sure.
Yeah, I quite like this comment. Is maybe one of my favorite, saying that going 11 years to the games is insane. I just wish I could string 11 years of just going to the gym. So that's
yeah, it's it is true. It's like, to me, when we talk about it this way, it's like it doesn't feel like such a long time. I mean, it's just like we finish a year and then we start another one, and we kind of forget the other one, the previous one, because we try to improve, and then all of a sudden it's like 7 years, and I'm like, wow, 7 years, and then all of a sudden it's 10, and then now it's 11. It's like it doesn't feel like such a long time, but at the same time, I'm aware that it is a long time, and I've been speaking to few people about, because like I've been at the same gym pretty much my whole career, and it's down in a basement. And at one point, I was like thinking to myself, how many hours have I spent down in that basement? Like, it's like thousands, like tens of thousands of hours probably that I've spent alone in a basement in a small town in Iceland, and to be able to do that without, I don't know, having training partners and stuff like that, I feel like, I must really like working out.
Yeah,
that just must be it. I must have a lot of energy, and I really like working out.
Yeah, it's really good for you that
is...
CrossFit came along, because imagine if CrossFit had never happened, like competitive CrossFit had never happened, and you've just spent 11 years training in the gym for nothing because it's just what you like to do. Like, I just like to shut myself in the basement and train.
Yeah, I would probably. I feel like I might have found some other sport to try to be good at.
Okay.
But it would definitely
be.
It will be physical. It will be physical for sure. Yeah.
Were you skateboarding before?
Yeah, so I used to skateboard from when I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, and until I was 14 or 15. So I did quite a lot of years skateboarding. Yeah, I mean, that's a great sport. That's a great sport.
Yeah. And when you are like in a small town, everything is 2 minutes away. Skateboard is the perfect mode of transportation as well. You can just get everywhere you need on a skateboard.
Yeah, it was like during the summer, mom would just open up the doors. I would be out at 7 in the morning, and then I would see her back at 7 in the evening when it was dinner time.
Yeah.
And that's how my childhood was. Yeah, basically just, opening up the doors in the morning, and then I would just go out, and then, come home, not in the evening, but, home for dinner or something.
So you've got a brother, any other siblings?
Yeah, I've got this older brother that owns this house that I'm in, and then I have a 2-year younger brother.
You're a middle child then.
I'm a middle child, and both of them are, well, my older brother is a police officer. He's in the SWAT team of Iceland, and then my younger one is studying to become a police officer as well. So I feel like there's a pressure here, but it's not for me.
Yeah, they're like, look how important our job is. Look what we're doing. What are you doing? You're just in your basement all day.
Yeah, just hanging around, training a little bit.
Yeah. What are those muscles for? Huh? Look what we're doing with us. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what, I'm also a middle child. But BKG, we're finding more and more things we have in common today. This is crazy.
That's crazy.
Apart from just our middle name, which people don't know because we said that off air. But,
we're practically brothers. We're
practically brothers. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. There was another thing I read a while ago when you were going to step away from CrossFit to like go into acting.
Yeah.
Did you try and pursue that? Did that just not pan out, or did you change your mind because you just love fitness too much? What happened there?
Did you? So you didn't get the punchline. You know that this was an April Fool.
Oh, was it an April Fool thing? No, I didn't see that.
The most perfect April Fools of all time, because this comes from Snorri. This came from Snorri in 2019. He got the idea, and we made it happen. I think in 2021 it was.
Yeah.
2 years later, and I was like all day deleting comments.
Oh, really?
Because like people were obviously telling, it's April Fools, it's 1st of April, blah blah, all of that kind of stuff, and I was just like deleting comments all day.
Yeah.
And that's why you're not the only one. You're not the only one.
It got shared in like, because I didn't see it on your Instagram. I saw it on, like reported by some other thing. So which probably wasn't even on April 1st.
No,
probably like because they would have picked it up days later.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, no, it was good. There was a lot of fun. That's it's cool to do something like that every now and then.
Well, because I look at your Instagram profile that you're not deleting. You said that would be a mistake, and I mean, like if CrossFit fails, it seems like modeling career is the next step, right? Like that's. Oh, I've said that now. Your camera's turned off. Oh.
I heard you. Modeling, I'm not sure. We'll see about that.
I don't know. I saw that picture of you with like the jacket that you've got, and I was like, this guy's kind of smoldering in the snow. It's just I don't know. It looks.
I mean, when you've got all those good softwares like Photoshop and all of that kind of stuff, like you can make everything look good, right?
Wow, so humble. Okay, you've been doing this for a long time. Augustus has asked a question. Feel free to answer it or say it's none of your business. He said, can you estimate how much prize money basically you've made competing at the games? He's saying prize money, so don't need to worry about like brands, sponsors, anything like that.
I would say probably somewhere around 250,000 throughout the 11 years, probably. Because the podium in 15 and 19 obviously give the most.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like finishing in top, 10 at the games is fine as well. Like you get, I don't know, probably close to like 20 grand for being 10th, and then I've been top 10 for 8 or 9 years straight. So I actually haven't. I have no idea.
No.
But probably somewhere around 200, 250K, something like that.
Yeah, I like they do it. You've got to know that somebody somewhere knows. Somebody is tracking this. Probably a relative or a friend is tracking this.
They're trying to throw me off here.
Yeah. That's interesting because I mean, at least you're not there are a lot of people that just lose money through their kind of games experience,
Yeah.
right? Like when they kind of sit down at the end of a season and they're like, oh well, all of this kind of all the registrations that I had to do, all the travel that I had to do, and then I finished bottom of the pack, and I've actually lost money going to the game. So as long as you're not in that camp,
Yeah.
you're doing okay, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think, it's a tough game, man. It's like, I don't know how it's going to be this year, but in the previous years, like, my goal obviously has been to, do better than before, and then, make it to the podium, and then try to be, either the second or first at the games.
Yeah.
But then, like, if you finish, I don't know, outside of top 25 or top 30 or something, like, you're like most likely gonna lose money going to the games, to be honest. And especially if you don't live in the US and you have to do the camp and the preparation there, and you might go out there like 4 to 6 weeks before to acclimatize, and you have to have a rental car the whole time, you have to rent out Airbnbs, you have to buy so much food, and then there's like different things that can occur, and it's a huge expense just to go to the games, especially for people coming outside of the US.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're outside of the US and you're not in, I don't know, top 10 or top 5 or something, then you're probably just going to lose money. And so you better enjoy that time there on the competition floor.
Yeah, and then there's cuts, and you just go home straight away, do one workout, and go home.
Yeah. I was lucky to make it through all the cuts in 2019.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I guess for you then, like everything is, we're seeing kind of Europe growing more focus, bigger, like Rogue coming to Europe was like crazy, right? So coming to Scotland, getting such a kind of a big event there. Obviously for you, like how good is it then seeing the move to bigger events happening closer to home?
I mean, it should have been so much sooner. Like, you can just see the fan base. Like you go to a local competition in Spain that's held in, I don't know, beginning of November or whatever it is, and it's packed. Like, no matter where you go, all the CrossFit competitions in Europe, they sell out pretty much. And if you went to the regionals back in the day and then the sectionals, same thing. It's like the fan base is just so strong, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why that is happening, but I totally get it. Why Rogue is coming over. I totally get it. Why World Fitness Project is having the competition in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be like fucking epic. Like, it's going to be. It's always when we have a good competition in Europe, it's packed. The atmosphere is great. And well, I obviously haven't been to the regionals or the semis in the US, but from what I've seen, during the live stream, it's not the same, to be honest. Yeah.
And I mean, you speak to the people that have been, like, and not the people that have been as in, oh yeah, I went and watched one, but like, you hang out with other games athletes at the games, so you guys can potentially talk about like the semifinals events you did. That's the kind of conversation you can have, right? And I mean, speaking with, like, I managed to interview quite a number of the athletes at Rogue, and like one of the things that kept coming back was the crowd, like how lovely the crowd were, how great the crowd was, the atmosphere. So it's not just like, for me, super convenient, because I'm not getting out to this. Like, you're saying if you finish bottom of the pack, you don't win money going to the game. Like, I'm guaranteed to lose money if I go, because I'm not even competing.
No,
So,
no.
so I need things to be closer. In fact, like I told, when I was speaking with World Fitness Project, and I was like, yeah, they're like, don't forget you can request your credentials for the media. And I was like, I'm not going to be at any of those events until maybe the finals, because that's close. That's convenient for me. So
no, yeah, I get that. I think, I'm really excited to see how all of that unfolds.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for the final in Copenhagen. It's also the first, when I went to the regionals for the first time in 2013. That was in Copenhagen, or just outside of Copenhagen.
Right.
So
Okay.
good
So there's a
memories
bit.
from that place.
I was going to say, so there's some nostalgia. There's some extra kind of, you'll be drinking that in to fuel you for
Oh,
the
absolutely.
for
Yeah.
the workout. Yeah. So you're excited about all of that then? The whole like it depending where you look, people obviously have different opinions on the World
Mhm.
Fitness Project. I've noticed looking around, but like how are you feeling about all of this?
I mean, yeah, like, great. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that we have some alternative. Um, there's just no reason. Like, I don't get it. Why would you be like? Why would you be angry about that whole thing? Like, I can do both. I can try making it to the games. I can do online semis, and then the weekend after, I compete in Indianapolis. It's like, why? Like, why bother? Like, how can you be angry about, we're trying to grow, everybody's trying to grow the sport. It's like we're going to be on both sides. We're going to be trying to make it to the games, and most people are going to be at the World Fitness Project as well. So it's just good. It's more competitions. Like, you can see us compete more often. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's not to like?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just so much hate going on in the community, and I just try to stay out of it and try to make it affect my life as little as I possibly can, because it's not going to do anything good.
Yeah. Do you think that's why, you're saying like 11 years passes by so quickly you don't really notice it? When I look at you, I feel you're also talking about like consistency. You've had the same, you've been doing the same thing for those 11 years. Like you haven't been changing camp, haven't been moving here, moving there. This little bubble that is just kind of, BKG's world. And you're like,
Hmm.
right, I'm happy at home. I'm in my little town. I know
Yeah.
everybody. I'm, down the road from my brother. Great. I could, I know I'm safe because if anyone attacks me, SWAT police down next door and they know who I am. That's brilliant. Do you think that's sort of how you're able to like avoid kind of catching stray bullets on all of this stuff? Because I don't see people going after you in the way they do other athletes. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
seem to just kind of be able to walk through everything unscathed almost.
Yeah, yeah. But I also don't comment a lot on the
Right.
things that are going on. It's like, I'm not sharing my, like, honest opinions on everything, because I just don't see the reason why I would, because a single, post from me on Instagram is just not going to change anything.
Right.
I can stand by a lot of opinions, and give people my trust, and I obviously do that by competing, for the World Fitness Project, and then also, I of course also want the CrossFit Games season to be as successful as possible, and that's why I'm doing it. Um, and then at the same time, it's like, yes, I'm in this bubble. I'm in Iceland. It's an island. It's far away from everything. And but also, just like, I also have a life. I've always had a life outside of CrossFit. I have friends that do not care about CrossFit whatsoever. And most of my downtime, and pretty much all of my downtime that I'm not in the gym or in my kitchen trying to keep up with, calories, it's spent with people that do not care about CrossFit. And I try to talk as little about it as I can. And that's the balance that I've found to be, best for me, because I've also tried and done it the other way, where I go so all in that it just becomes so overwhelming, and that just usually, um, ends up with me, injuring myself a little bit, or like, getting a little bit overtrained or demotivated or whatever, because like there is nothing else, and that's probably my number one cue for anybody trying to be, making it to the games, is to don't forget that, you have a life outside of CrossFit, and you have to take care of that as well.
I
Um,
mean, I wonder if that's how like you said, you're doing World Fitness Project, you're doing the games, you're kind of involved in everything, but also because you've got this life outside of that, that's how you can have that distance. And you're like saying, I don't comment on everything. I think if you're all in and you're like, this is my life, this is everything, and then somebody says something, that's when you're like, I've got to react. I've got to tell them how how wrong they are. Whereas you're like, I don't care. Like, okay, you feel that way, great. I'm in the kitchen doing something else, or I'm hanging out with friends. We're not talking about CrossFit. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that is. I think that probably is the solution. It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah. And but at the same time, also, like, I didn't come into the sport as a teenager. Like I wasn't, I wasn't a teenager when I started doing the sport. Like I had been doing a lot of other sports before, and I had been competing in other sports for a long, long time. And I knew how to compete, and I knew how to deal with the emotions of failing and all of that kind of stuff. So this was just another sport that I was going into. So, I feel like I was mature enough when I started doing CrossFit to kind of know that, I usually do better when I also have this in my life, or if I also have this and that, and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that I actually had that experience coming into training for CrossFit Games.
Yeah, I guess it is obviously a different animal now. Like if you start doing it now, there's going to be possibilities that probably when you started doing CrossFit, like I doubt when you started, like getting like to the games 11 years ago, like the World Fitness Project, Rogue in Glasgow, like things like that in Aberdeen were just like, you couldn't have imagined those kind of things happening because it was still kind of so niche and so US based. Whereas people coming in now are like, oh, look at all these opportunities that I've got, so I need to be dialed in on everything straight away. And as you said, like people starting as a teen, I see some of these teens and you're like, this is insane. You should not be this fit, this good, this strong, this young. Like that doesn't make sense.
No, like, I mean, I can't really say, but I agree with you. Like when I was a teenager doing all the sports, but at the same, like I had the mentality of just like being, the best footballer in the world, for example. Like that was the ultimate goal, and I wanted to, like, I tried to do all of the things that I possibly could to become that, but that unfortunately didn't happen. But yeah, it's just I haven't been a teenager and training for the CrossFit Games, so I just can't comment on it. But I just sometimes feel like it just overtakes a little bit too much of their lives, and I don't know if it's probably I think it's really hard being a teenager, and then all of a sudden you're a superstar, you're a CrossFit superstar, and you're like 16, 17, 18. I think that's just very hard to deal with, and you would 100% need help at that time.
I think it's strange as well, isn't it? Like being I think being a CrossFit superstar is already a weird thing because, like, within the world of CrossFit, you're super famous. Like everybody knows who you are. They know what you're doing. They know what you eat. They know how you train. They know who you train with. They know like what events you've been to. They've got stats on you. And then you go to a supermarket and nobody knows who you are.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
could not care less, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They just and I feel that's got to be like a weird kind of shock, right? Like to the system of, oh, hold on, I'm walking in one room and I've got to kind of be on guard to a degree because everybody knows who I am. They're all looking at me.
Yeah.
And then I walk into another room and I'm a ghost. Nobody knows who I am. It's
I think, I think at the same time, it's like, to some extent, I think it's good that, in that CrossFit bubble, like everybody knows you and you're a superstar. But then also at the same time, like in your town or something, you go out and you go out for groceries or whatever, and nobody knows you. I think that's also like, that's pretty nice though. Like if you look at the footballers, for an example, like, let's say Messi or Ronaldo, for an example, like they can't be among us, right?
Yeah.
It's like, even though they, are known in the space of football, they're also just worldwide superstars, right? And that might be a good thing in CrossFit, where we're superstars in CrossFit, and then outside of that, nobody knows us.
Yeah. Well, who knows? One day maybe CrossFit will blow up and you will all be the most famous people on the planet. I don't know.
Potentially.
It's funny that you mentioned Messi because it's literally who Corey was talking about. People call him Guðmundsson. He was a best footballing player.
No. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, he's asked it. He said in his town he's just Björgvin, at comps he's BKG. I wanted to ask that actually. What do people call you?
Björgvin.
They do the full name. It's not shortened. There's not like a nickname or anything like that.
I would say Icelandic people when they want to make fun of me, Icelandic people call me BKG.
Really?
Yeah, and and they say it that way. So but it's more like a sarcasm.
Is that like because you're famous?
Yeah. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you about this when you came on, and then I see that you'd put your name as BKG on the.
Yeah, I just felt like it would be weird to write my whole name in Icelandic.
No, I think it's nice. I love the fact that we're trying to. I've noticed, I'd love to hear if you've observed this as well. In the last couple of years, it feels like there's been an effort on the part of people to finally learn the names of people that are not from America.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
which I totally agree, and they're doing a much better job.
Yeah. So when you were coming, I was like, I'm going to find out what he wants to be called. I'm going to make sure I use his name, and I mean, we've talked about names earlier on. I've told you my middle name. I lived in Italy for 10 years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and in Italy, in their alphabet, they don't really have a J. Like all the J names, so it's like Giovanni, Giacomo, they're always with a G. So Jason is like the worst. It's the worst name because they don't have
Jason.
They say Jason. Yes, I actually had a landlord who just couldn't get it. He just could not get my name. So because my middle name is Carl, as you know, he just called me Carlo because
really?
That's all he could do was translate Carl into Italian. That was easy.
That's funny. Like your name, Jason, we have that name in Icelandic, but we pronounce it Jason.
Jason. There we go.
Yeah, I'm like the Italians.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that. That's fine. Yeah, so I was like, well, let's make sure we get his name right.
Yeah.
Corey says, in my defense, I can barely pronounce English names correctly. If I try to pronounce Björgvin, I've understood it's more like a W sound for English, right? Like the end, the vin is win.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Yeah, that's right.
Probably have a stroke. Yeah.
But what you're having troubles with is also the third letter, and it's not an O, it's Ö. So it's Björgvin. Björgvin. Yeah.
Oh, do I have to roll it as well?
Yeah, you have to roll the R. So it's
okay. I'll get my wife to do that. She's really good at rolling the R's. I can't do that. That was a big problem in Italian. They roll the R's a lot, and I'm like, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But at least we're trying. No,
I think like that so many
BKG
people
is cool.
Tried.
Like I think that's a great. I think you've done really well in getting BKG. I think that's like it's such a a noticeable, like when they announce it, you're like, yeah. But I also feel like it's a bit insulting that it's like, we can't say your name, so we've given you a nickname we can say, and it's literally 3 letters. That's all we can manage.
Honestly, I probably started using it because I just wanted to save people, like in the broadcast studio. Just call me BKG. It's like, otherwise you're gonna butcher my name every time you try to say it.
Yeah, I've a friend who's French, and everybody's his name's Fabien, and he like a lot of English people call him Fabian, and I asked him like, what do you prefer? And he said the problem is when they try to pronounce it the French way, they make a little mistake that turns it into like a girl's name. So he actually prefers them to like butcher it really badly in English, because at least then it's not that they're giving him a girl's name. So that was
okay. I get that. I respect that.
I'm trying to see if this is phonetically correct. I don't know about the Carlo in the middle. What is going on there? Guðmundsson. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Phonetically incorrect.
Björg.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's just Björgvin.
Björgvin.
Björgvin. Yeah.
Björgvin.
Like, honestly, like the way you're saying it, it's fine.
Passable.
Yeah, I would answer. I would answer that.
Yeah. You wouldn't stop me in the street and go, "I'm sorry.
No.
Call me BKG."
No,
You're
no.
so bad at this.
The language itself is also just so strange, and there are so few people. Like, I don't know how many are we? Like close to 400,000.
Yeah.
That speak the language, and it's just very far from, it's close to Danish, for an example, but it's still far from, being Danish or Swedish or Norwegian. So I'm totally fine with people not being able to pronounce names in Icelandic, and
Well,
nothing new really.
I don't know. I feel like we can all do better. We can all do better. We should.
Yeah, like you said, like people are trying, definitely.
Yeah, but I like that. Yeah, that's a good thing. And like I was speaking with Mads quite a few times. Well, it's funny. I think I had Mads Jacobson and Bill Grunler on the same time once.
Yeah.
And they were saying, because obviously Mads can kind of nail the names because he's used to like the European names.
Yeah, he's very good with names.
Yeah. But people were like coming up to Bill and being like, "Oh, it was so good hearing you say my name," even though they were getting it like wrong. But it was like, because it was so different, it was sort of like more special than just somebody saying their name correctly. And we're like, yeah,
exactly.
My name. You're going to Glasgow very soon.
I am going to Glasgow very soon. It's
next week.
Next week. Yeah, end of next week. Yeah, for the ATHX.
ATHX, Glasgow ATHX. Looking forward to that.
Oh, very. I in the past, for the past 2 years when we've done the Fit Fest, they've had the competition there, and I never really got to like understand really what it was.
Right.
Like I had never heard about ATHX before the Fit Fest, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I like the good thing about this is I like the idea of you only warm up once and then you're kind of in it. Or like it's like High Rocks is, but it's with proper lifting and an actual CrossFit workout, and then bike and running.
Yeah. Are you doing the singles or the pairs?
I believe we're doing the singles.
I like how prepared you are. Brilliant. So have you looked at the workout?
I mean, it is basically the only thing that you split is the final part, right? Otherwise, you will have to do the whole thing, both of you. I mean, in pairs, you would still have to squat 3 rep max, and then you would still have to both strict press and both run and both bike, right?
Yes.
So the only thing that you do by yourself, for sure, the last workout is individual, but I don't mind. We're training for hard season, so I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think the only thing is the final work. Well, actually, because I noticed this on the website, and I was like, should I tell them? Is that if you look at the 2 workouts, they've still written synchro burpees in the final workout. So well, if you're on your own, it's pretty easy to do synchro burpees.
Yeah, exactly.
Synchro with yourself, great, perfect.
Yeah,
get a mirror.
Have you done it?
I've not done it. I know a lot of people have run through it in the pairs.
Yeah.
A couple from CrossFit Bath have done it. They were actually at the finals at FitFest, so I sort of documented that 2 years in a row. Actually, they made it to the finals, so they were kind of enjoying that. So I'm very aware of it. There's one in Cardiff, I think, next month. Oh no, so next month April is Glasgow. So in June, I think there's going to be one. Well, they say they're calling it Cardiff. I think it's actually in Newport, which is even closer to me.
Okay.
So I've been talking to them about trying to go there to kind of document a little bit the thing, because I think many are like you, that they, hadn't. Well, now you are aware of it, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. But I think it's an interesting concept, because you said it's like High Rocks in that it's the same. It's like you can train specifically for it because this is the workout. It's a bit more CrossFit in movements.
Yeah.
But then next year it changes. So
exactly.
it follows the same strength,
Mhm.
endurance, and like Metcon format, but it gets refreshed every year. So if you enjoy it, you can go back next year, and it's not just like, okay, I'm doing another High Rocks.
No, exactly. I agree. To me personally, I feel like it's more appealing. I'm also not, I would probably not be saying this if I was a great runner. Then I would probably love High Rocks, right? But is this strictly UK based? Like, this is only done in the UK, right?
At the moment, yeah. I hear big, the idea is that they want to expand it out.
Honestly, like it would be pretty easy to run ATHX, as a competition in a CrossFit gym, for an example.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. Probably gonna do it. Honestly, like I'm a head coach for the gym in my town, obviously. My brother was the owner of that gym. I didn't know if I mentioned that.
You didn't?
No. Okay, he's the owner of the gym. And
is that older brother or younger?
Yeah, my older one that at his house right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might just do that. I might program this as like a Saturday competition type of thing. Because when I look at it, it does look very good to me, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So obviously, then they have the finals in December at FitFest. Would you, if you like, I would assume, do I offend everyone that's going to Glasgow? Yeah, I assume you're going to go and absolutely smash this in Glasgow. I don't know who else is doing it, apart from Lucy McGonigal. That's the only other name I know that's going to be there. But I have a feeling you're probably going to do very well, given your athletic career. Oh, do you not think so?
Yeah, no. Oh, definitely. I mean, I just don't know.
What would happen
how many like athletes have like dedicated their training into training for the ATHX. Like, I'm not sure. I have no idea if they have like a Hunter McIntyre of ATHX.
A Hunter McIntyre of ATHX. We'll
You know
hunt
what I mean?
one
It's
down.
like
I know
I have no
exactly what
idea.
you mean. Yeah. I think that, but you see, that would be hard, right? Because it changes every year.
Yeah, true.
So, like, I guess you kind of need to be good. I think you need to be someone like you, a well-rounded, exceptionally good CrossFit athlete who's like, okay, maybe, and then, you can dedicate 6 months to being like, I've got this competition coming up in 6 months. I know for a fact it's going to be a 5-rep max squat. It's going to be a 10-rep max strict press. I'll make sure to incorporate a lot of that into my training. Running and rowing, running and biking, isn't it? So it's a air runner and a bike this time, right?
Yes, air runner and C2 bike, I think.
Yeah, and it's 12 minutes on each max distance.
I mean, it's quite the workout, to be honest. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind it being maybe like because it's like 10 rep max strict press. It's like a weird rep scheme for I don't know. Like I've never done a 10 rep max strict press, to be honest. But I wouldn't mind it being something like split jerk from the rack.
Yeah. I think it was a split jerk maybe last year.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Maybe, yeah, because it changes. So I think they had. I'm sure there was a jerk. I don't know how many reps it was, but
I don't remember. So
yeah. Well, you were busy. You were over the other side of the arena. And that's the other thing, like the triple threat and the like the exhibition that you guys were part of.
Yeah.
That was as far away from the ATHX area as you could possibly get in that arena, because you were like in one corner and they were in the other corner.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
It wasn't exactly easy to kind of just look over the corner and go, oh, that's what they're doing.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, we did. I think we did one of the like in the days leading up to FitFest, we did sessions at the ATHX arena, and that was in the totally different corner of that whole venue.
But would you do it like if this goes well and you enjoy it and you're like, oh, I can go and do the finals in Birmingham? Like if you were there for FitFest, I don't know if you're there for FitFest again. I don't know.
I haven't heard anything. So,
But if that happens, would you do both?
probably not.
No.
No, I mean, it's just
Would you
like
turn down
it's hard to
FitFest?
combine. It's hard to combine. Like,
I don't know.
maybe like if they set it up that way,
Yeah.
then everything is possible.
You just tell Gavin like, hey, I've qualified for this. Make that one of the workouts.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
all did the obstacle course.
That was so much fun.
You enjoy that?
That was also like a proper obstacle course.
Yeah.
What we have had at the games or something is like, follow this beam that's like sits at like 30 degrees and then jump over a couple of walls and then climb upstairs. Something like, it's so simple. But this one is like a proper obstacle course where you can have like a lot of different strategies, and like if you want to skip, this one we jump to the other one to be a little bit quicker, like all of that kind of stuff. That's what I like. I really like that. And we saw some of the professionals doing it.
I was going to say, what did you think of the professional guy who did it at the end?
That's insane how quick they were. I just really appreciate see people doing different sports and their levels ahead. I love it.
Yeah. That is the fun thing, like within the CrossFit realm, right? Is that you're all at CrossFit, you're all amazing.
Yeah.
But you're not specialists in anything really. And then, but because it kind of, it branches across so many sports, you do get to see specialists.
Yeah.
And then when you see them, you're like, oh yeah, okay. That's amazing. And it's like, yeah, okay, they can do that. They can't do, what we do. Like I remember trying to explain to people when I'm like, oh, I'm going to this big CrossFit event, and they're like, oh, and they go, oh, like the weights they're lifting must be insane, and I'm like, well, like yes and no, like it is, but it's more like that they're lifting, a pretty heavy weight a lot, like a lot of times, versus doing once some, like a strongman event, even though you do strongman events. But then you get the strongmen out and they do it, and then you're like, okay. So they're like at Rogue, like you're seeing the deadlifts they're putting up, and you're like, right, that's
we're not there yet, quite yet. But also in other sports is like, also if you look at completely different sports, like I've gotten into golf for the last couple of summers. Like I've always had like a golf set that we might play few friends like once a year or something, and it's usually when we're at doing something else, but we end up playing like one round during the summer or something. But now I've gotten into it a bit over the last couple of years, and that's, you really appreciate how good people can get at that sport. To me, that's probably one of the like most like mentally hard sports to possibly train. It's like so many things can go wrong. Like if you snatch, it's like, well, you failed the snatch. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you failed the snatch, and you can just try again.
I was gonna say, you've probably got a few seconds left. Pick the bar up again. Give it a go.
Exactly. You can just try again, all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like so many variables, and I just appreciate when I see people that do something different and they do it this well. I appreciate all the other athletes that are professionals. That's what I mean.
Do you find it so this, because I feel like this is why I like watching CrossFit and all the kind of fitness events and things like that, is I feel that I can appreciate it because I do the same thing as you. I just don't do it as good as you. Like that's the problem, right? So like we've just done the open, so we've literally just done the same workouts.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can compare my score to yours, and I'm like, well, we lifted the same weight, we had the same thing, but you finished like 18 more rounds than me. That's incredible. So there's like this immediate. Whereas it's like if I'm watching football, I'm like, I understand you're better at football than me.
Yeah.
But we're both kicking a ball. And like,
how is it that you're how much better?
Yeah. How is it that when you kick a ball, it's so much better than me, and you're making a lot of money to do it, and when I kick a ball, it's like, It's just me kicking a ball. Whereas I find with CrossFit, it's so easy to know, like, oh, I know how hard that is. It's like, oh, I can lift that for 1 rep. He's just lifted it like, 21 unbroken. Wow, that's amazing. Like that's
Yeah, exactly. I mean, talking about football, for an example, is like I went to practice. Well, I went to football practice yesterday, actually, like last night. As my third session of the day, I went to football practice, and it's been quite the time since I played football. Like I used to play when I was like up until I was 18 years old or something. I played for 14 years, but it's just like, and when I got back to the field, to the field yesterday, it was like I just felt like I could pick up where I left, and that's 100% not that way. And then I'm playing with guys that are like, fifth league in Iceland. It's like, it's almost like Sunday league, but a little bit higher up than that, but still like fifth league. And I'm like, wow, if those guys, some of them know how to like play football pretty well, and that gives me perspective of like, how is the first league in Iceland, and then how is Premier League and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just levels to everything. Basically, you just have to put it into perspective and know what you're talking about. Because I can't say anything about tennis.
Right.
I've no idea. Like,
yeah,
I never played really, so I can't really say.
No, that's the next one. That's once you get really good at golf, you can move over to tennis. Yeah.
Well, once I get to 40 years old, I'll start playing tennis.
Oh, I don't know if you want to start doing that at 40 years old. That feels like
probably not.
That feels like you need to be spry and springy, and
that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because with some things, like I go back to some things that I haven't done for years, but I've been doing CrossFit, and I'm like, oh, I'm better at this than I ever was, because I'm just fitter. And then you go to other things that are very skill based, and you're like, oh, I can tell that I have not been keeping up with this. So
yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. Okay, well, it sounds like you've got a busy season ahead. So you're making a run for the games. Oh, somebody did ask if you're planning on winning the Europe semis. So Sarah Cooper asked, BKG planning on winning the Europe semi?
So with how the season is laid up, in order for me to make it to one of the European semifinals, that would then either be Malaga throwdown or French throwdown.
Yeah.
I would have to compete on weekend 1, would have to be Malaga. Weekend 2 would have to be online semis. Weekend 3 would have to be Indianapolis. And that's just not possible.
Oh, you don't feel like doing that?
Unless I was doing heavy loads of illegal substances, but that's just not happening. So, I can't do 3 weekends in a row. I can't peak for 3 weekends. I am
if I see you doing 3 weekends in a row of competition, this clip is getting shared, and I'm gonna be like, this will be the biggest clickbait thing I've ever got. BKG's admitted to being on heavy loads of illegal supplements. It's the only way he could do this.
If you see me competing 3 weekends in a row in CrossFit, then yes, you're free to use this as much as you want.
Wonderful.
But no, I'm doing the online semis, and then in Iceland, and then I'll have to fly out on the Monday morning to Indianapolis and compete the next weekend for the World Fitness Project. So that's gonna be tough for sure, but just have to be planned out right and then make the most of it.
Who does all the planning for you?
That's so. I mean, Snorri, my agent, for sure. He lays the groundworks. Yami, my coach, is like, I talk to him about the dates and all the kind of stuff, like when we want to leave out, like how much time we need to adjust and acclimatize, especially when we go abroad.
Yeah.
So it's Yami.
Okay. So it's like, so you tell Yami your needs, and then Snorri makes it happen.
Yes.
Sort of.
I tell Yami my needs, and Snorri makes it happen. I don't do shit.
It's a great system. This is why you're saying, oh, it's 11 years. I haven't changed anything. I just keep, doing the same stuff, because it was like, look at the system you've got in place. That's absolutely perfect.
As long as I deliver I think they are willing to be
Yeah.
by my side.
Okay, so it's not perfect system because you also have to deliver, but
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
okay, we just
Kind of
need to
has
get
it kind of has to go both ways.
yeah, well, all right. That's good. Well, and Snorri made this happen, so I can't fault the
Exactly.
guy. I can't fault
No,
him. I mean,
he's the
he's
best. He's the
yeah.
best.
When you travel, I've noticed you tend to stop in at Nando's. This seems to be like a
I
big thing for you
do say
guys.
I tend to.
Yeah,
That means now I know what it means, but I don't tend to. It's
you do
almost guaranteed.
always. Yes.
And when I'm with Snorri, it means multiple times a day. I think when we went to FitFest in December, it was probably 2 or 3 times a day, every day that we were staying there. So I probably ended up being, going to Nando's like
Yeah.
7 to 9 times.
So do they not? Well, I'm guessing then there are no Nando's in Iceland.
No, yeah, exactly. We don't have Nando's.
Do you have any chains?
No, we used to have McDonald's. They closed down in like 2009, something like that.
Really?
And then, I mean, we have KFC, but it's actually like I would say KFC in Iceland is probably much more healthy than
Right.
KFC abroad because we have all those strict like rules about what meat you gotta use, and you have to use this like Icelandic chicken and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we have KFC. We don't have Burger King. We might have like a one Taco Bell place in
Oh,
Iceland.
really?
Yeah, it's like a single. Domino's pizza.
Yeah. Okay.
And for TGI Fridays.
Yeah, which is also like near the Nando's in Birmingham, isn't it? When you're at
Oh yeah, exactly.
So what I like is that you walk past TGI Fridays, you just blank it as you head towards Nando's.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't even go to TGI Fridays in Iceland, but I just know
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah. Well, that's when I remember being in Venice and I needed to meet someone, and like Venice, they don't have like street names the same way. Like you don't have addresses. It's kind of they have sesteries. They basically divided the island up into 6 sections, and
Okay.
then houses are numbered within that. So instead of
Oh,
being
okay.
like this road and this number, it's like you're in San Marco, and your house number is 1204. So you're trying to find
Okay.
things. So I needed to meet someone in a square. I couldn't find it, and the only thing I knew about that was that there was a Burger King there. And I
Okay.
stopped, and like Venice is like it's a maze, right? It's just all
Yeah.
little canals. And I stopped an Italian guy and I asked him, like, how do I get to the Burger King? Because that's where I need to meet this person. And he just told me like, oh, we don't eat that kind of stuff. so I don't know where it is. And I'm thinking, I don't care if you eat it. Like, there's no way you don't know where it is. Like, even if you don't go there, you see it.
And did he know? Did he know where it was?
Or he just pretended like he couldn't possibly know where it is because he's Italian and he doesn't eat that food. And I'm thinking, well, also, now I'm living in Venice. Yes, incredibly touristic. I understand. But I used to live in Udine, which is, like an industrial city where
Yeah.
it's mostly local people. And that McDonald's was always packed full of people and they were
Yeah.
Italian. So don't pretend that you guys don't eat that
Yeah,
food.
exactly.
Like, I'm not falling for this. Anyway,
No.
okay. I was just curious because I notice like the Instagram feed, particularly Snorri's, blows up whenever you're traveling, and it is mostly you guys in Nando's. So I was just like, okay,
Yeah. I, I mean, the good thing about this is, it's not that, it's not that special. It's just good
just chicken.
grilled chicken
Yeah.
with like spicy sauce and hummus.
Oh,
That's what we like.
which sauce do you go? How spicy do you go?
Lemon. I go lemon and herb, but then like lemon and herb on the chicken, but then we have like the piri piri and like the hotter ones just
Yeah.
on the sides.
Do you have like the peri peri salt on? Do you have fries? Do you have like some of the peri peri fries, or you're not eating that because you're game day?
I usually go with like the mashed
The mashed
potato
potato, of course
and the
you do.
coleslaw. And I have the hummus as the starter.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, now
But there's a piri piri like a drizzle on top of the hummus, and that's very good.
That's right. I like that you're trying to
Yes, I'm
pretend
getting
like you're
hungry
having it a little bit spicy when you've just said, I have the lemon and herb. I have like the no spice.
Oh, you don't like spice?
Me, no, not massively. I
No.
I don't really like, I don't even oversalt my stuff. So this is a big thing in my family. Like, you know, it's been like 15 years of marriage where we're talking about the fact that kind of I'm like, this is really salty, and she's like, it's not that salty. But I
Not
don't
really.
really add I don't add salt to anything, and so when you add some salt, it's like for me very salty. So my wife's from the Philippines as well, so like, you know, we eat a lot of Filipino food as well,
Yeah.
which and so we'll put out stuff. She's always got like a bottle of Tabasco on the table, and she'll
Yeah.
just spice up whatever she's eating.
Oh
Um,
shit.
but you know, we've got 2 small kids as well, so like we can't give them really spicy stuff. So it kind of,
No.
you know,
Yeah.
it all balances out. It all works out somehow.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. Okay. Well, so let's just recap. You're in Glasgow next week.
Yeah.
You've got so what is it, online semis first and then
Online
World
semis
Fitness?
first, and then the first World Fitness project.
Okay. Wow. So that's like just the first portion of your
That's
kind of
the
competitive calendar this year, right?
And then we'll have to wait until August, and hopefully the games. And that's probably gonna be, you know, around beginning of August, mid-August, something like that. But then I think only 2 weeks later we have the second competition at the World Fitness Project in Arizona,
Right.
and we can call that the part 2 of the season, basically.
Yeah.
From there, Rogue Invitational, October, November, and then in December we have the final in Copenhagen for the World Fitness Project. So yeah,
Is this the
most like
busiest you've been? Like,
yeah, I'm just thinking about this now for the first time, and
yeah.
I'm probably gonna retire after this year just because
Yeah. That's
how
how
many
acting.
competitions we have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can basically condense, like, it's funny. Somebody, maybe they're doing this is like their, you know, their second or third kind of competitive season.
Yeah,
It's probably as much as you did in your first like 2 or 3 years when
yeah.
you went to the games. Like there
Oh,
just weren't all of
definitely.
these things. So
I mean, we only had at that time we only had from 16. I was in Dubai from 16, so it was like, you know, regionals games in Dubai. That was probably from 16, 17, and 18, and then we had Rogue for the first time in 19. Yeah.
right, yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Okay. Well, all the best with it's actually when I posted about you going like coming on the show and then being like, I started getting messages from people being like, "Oh, you coming to Glasgow? You coming to Glasgow?" I was like, "I'm not going. I'm not going to Glasgow. Sorry, guys. But hey, if you want to come and see me in Cardiff, I'll probably be at that one.
Oh, Cardiff, yeah.
I don't think BKG will be there, but you know that's fine.
You'll be there.
I'll be there. I'm almost as famous.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's
Well,
always a pleasure.
wonderful. And I will hopefully maybe catch up with you partway through your season, and we can see how busy you've been. And hopefully, I'll see you in person either at Rogue or maybe in Copenhagen or
Yeah.
maybe in FitFest. Who knows? That'll be wonderful. I will actually be back here on Friday, I think, actually with somebody you know, Björgvin. I'll be with Gavin Hesselton from CrossFit Glasgow.
Oh, nice.
Who does all your programming for FitFest and events like that. So I wonder if you'll see him. I wonder if he'll pop his head round the door at ATHX in Glasgow. I mean, he lives in Glasgow. You should go.
Oh yeah. I think definitely. I mean, they own CrossFit Glasgow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think
His,
we'll be there for something on like Friday or something like that. So yeah, I'll definitely see him.
Oh, you'll be there on Friday. The Friday that he's meant to be on this show. That will be interesting. Oh no, but it'll be the following week. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's next week. Or
It's
I was
next.
about to call him.
It's not
I
tomorrow.
was going to hang this up and phone him right now and say, "Hey, what's going on? You think Björgvin's better than me? That's why you're skipping out on me." Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for your lovely comments, and clearly a lot of fans of our good friend Björgvin. I'm going to keep practicing. Next time I see you, it'll be perfect. Thanks everybody. Hopefully see some of you on Friday, I guess. Oh, I didn't say the time. It'll be like 9 p.m.